Let's see. Hello, LinkedIn. I am live here with Nader. Nader, how's it going?
Doing great, sir. Thanks for having me here.
No, it's fantastic. And you're another one of the career coaches who've been super successful at launching your own career coaching business, which is why I thought I'd have you on here. I'm thinking we spend the next 45 minutes-ish talking about what are some of the most common things that are keeping career coaches from, I guess, really blossoming with their business and really growing their business, earning a full-time income. And I'm hoping to get a little bit of an idea of your story as well. So maybe we could start there. What do you think?
Let's do it, man. I'm all yours today. So thanks for the invite again. I know we had a nice chat. We planned for 30 minutes, turned into an hour. We're like, where did the time go? So we got to do a live together. So it's awesome to be here, man. Awesome to be here. And I'm excited to share with you. Where do you want to get started?
Nader, I remember last time you spoke, you mentioned that you were thinking about launching your career coaching business for a very, very long time. And then you finally took off. So I guess start where you had decided that you wanted to start a career coaching business. And why did it take you so long to actually get it off the ground full time?
Fair enough. So I'll take you back to like 2012. Well, maybe actually 2010. To hear the background of the background, But the reason I got into this industry, into this field, I left working in technology. I have an engineering background. I left working in technology after 3 years and entered the recruiting industry. So still recruiting within tech, within engineering, but just completely away from getting my hands dirty in the tech itself, in the building or implementing of a technology. But what allowed me to become really successful as a recruiter and learning how to bring, job seekers and employers together was the fact that I was there. I was on the other side of the table, trying to build a career, maybe not so successfully. So when I had that opportunity to switch sides, I saw tremendous value there, and all these pieces just fell into the right place. So 2 years later, I realized that, I got to do this for myself, I'm giving all this money away and, but, jokes aside, I just decided to do it myself. And 2012, that's when I knew I wanted to teach. I wanted to help people, because back in 2011, so a year into recruiting, this is back in Toronto, back in Toronto, back in Mississauga. So I used to take unpaid vacation days to go to different community centers. So like the Bloor Danforth Community Center, the Mississauga Community Center, the Markham Community Center, the Richmond Hill Community Center, and just help new immigrants, having been an immigrant, so I understood what it takes, how difficult it is. So my heart was already there. I'm like, I need to give back to the community, what I've learned, others need to know about it, because as a recruiter, I discovered things that I didn't learn in school. The career counselor in the university didn't teach us. I hadn't found it anywhere else. So I felt like I had been misguided. And now I was like, man, I felt like Gandalf. You know what I mean? I'm like, I need to share this stuff, man. And I brought it up. I brought it up to my, to my manager and everything at the company I was with, and that wasn't received well. Recruiters aren't coaches. You don't get paid for coaching people. You don't even you're discouraged even fixing their resume. So you're not supposed to do that on the company's time, So I was just saying extra, working in the weekends, evenings, and that led to, literally taking unpaid vacation days, go to community centers and helping people outside of my 9 to 5. That's when I knew, I was going to give this stuff away. So when I left in 2012 in September, I started a new business, and it was recruiting/coaching. But coaching at the time was something new to me. I knew one day I had to make money from it, but it was almost no stream of income.
Wait, you can make money doing coaching?
Apparently. I was charging $50 a resume, and a lot of resumes I was doing for free. So again, if you were my candidate and I was presenting you to a client, part of my pitch, because I was a lone wolf recruiter, part of my pitch was that I do all of that for you for free. So I'm going to write your resume for free, update your resume for free, write your cover letter for free, modify your LinkedIn profile. I was all part of what you get done for free if you work with me as a candidate, as a recruiter. So that was part of the value add, But, long story short, my primary source of income was recruitments and placements. And that continued for another 3 years, because what happened 3 years later in 2015, I actually got married and moved to the US. So that's when, having relocated into the US, I had to go through so many things, jump through a lot of loops to reestablish a business here and get, build from the ground up. And I did continue recruiting as I was doing north of the border, but I felt like in the US, there was a bigger demand. Maybe there was more of an understanding for coaches, for career coaches. Especially I started working with people with like executives, directors, senior engineers in the San Francisco Bay Area. And there was like, I felt like there was and my feeling was right, there was an existing presence of coaching, people invested in coaching. So when I started talking about my coaching services and abilities and I started working with a few people, it's like I poured fuel on fire, and at this point I had been in the recruiting industry for 5 years. So I began to sound intelligent and really do some good stuff, So 2015 was the time that, 3 years after officially starting my business, I kind of like started to charge like $200 a resume or something like that. Yeah. Just like now it was kind of worth it. You know what I mean? I could see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Wow. $200 a resume. Hey, I think that's still on the higher side. I spoke to someone last week who said $65 for a resume. And maybe you can talk about this as well. When you're starting out as a coach, why do you feel like these are the prices you should be charging?
I don't know. I was Googling other coaches to see what other people charge. That's what you do. You're like, okay, well, if I want to do this, how much are other people charging? And I'm like, oh, cool, 150. Okay, so I'm going to charge 150. Well, there's two types of people. So first, I started. If you're just beginning, you're like, okay, well, if Yasser is charging 150, I'm going to charge 135. So that's a $15 discount, and I'm going to promote the hell out of that. And like $15 discount, Yeah. You pay less, save $15. So that's it. That's kind of a pitch for someone. But then, I work with one of my coaches at the time, and they're like, why don't you price yourself a little bit higher? Because, you clearly have a niche. My niche is purely engineering, deep end hardware, software engineering, stuff that I talk about the average coach wouldn't understand. So there's value there. You have an engineering degree yourself. You worked in tech. You have all these certifications. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go 165, so for 150, so I can sell that extra money because I have an engineering degree and all that. But to answer your direct question directly, it's just literally what other people are charging based on whatever comes up on the first page of Google,
I did the same thing as well, because you don't have any reference experience. You're like, well, let me just look up some of these other guys. And because I'm starting out, I should probably charge a little lower, right? And then I'll work my way up to this. And here's the interesting thing. When I was doing my research on people, after 61 career coaches that I've spoken to, there were people with 20 years of experience who still thought once they get more experience, they'll be able to charge more. There's this underlying imposter syndrome in the industry, specifically career coaching. Why do you think that's so strong in our industry?
I don't know. Perhaps they were never successful at their own job, prior to becoming a career coach. I don't know. I like my story, like my corporate career was interesting, and I always share this publicly. I even tell it to my clients because, they ask me like certain things, and sometimes it comes up. I may have even shared it with you that like as an employee, I was never a good team player. And everything kind of makes sense. So like my background in sports, I've always been in solitary sports, like gymnastics, karate, wrestling, kickboxing, Muay Thai, swimming. It's always been a one person sport. I've always competed against another man, So I was always solitary. I played rugby for 2 years, and then that's where my major injuries come in. And I've always blamed the team. The reason I got injured because I was the first person in, so I was putting myself in front of other people. And that was kind of like how my story led to my college and then university and then corporate career. I still felt like it was me against everybody else. So I quickly rose up the corporate ladder, became the number one kind of like leader of the team, did well, became a high performing employee. And I was never happy with where I was. I was never happy with processes. I wanted to grow. I was always faced with red tape and company politics and seniority. This person has more seniority. I'm like, I don't care, dude. I just made you like another 170 grand more than the other person. I need to become the team lead. I need to become this. I need to become that. I was clashing with my manager. So I was never a good team player. Other members of the team didn't really like me, so I kind of always saw myself as a leader. I was pushing the boundaries and I wanted to do things better. Having that engineering background, I was very process oriented. I always am. And I just dissect everything. I want to just like make improvements in every aspect, every step of that formula, so I was never good in a team, but I was great and comfortable on my own. So I feel like having that view towards career, towards life, it allowed me to kind of like push outside of my comfort zone of being in a new industry. So like 3 years into coaching, that was it for me. I'm like, okay, like imposter syndrome's out. I'm going to kill it. I'm the best coach out there. I need to start charging more. I need to start providing more value. I need to start doing better than others. And then you enter this new realm of like executive coaches and people that are pretty much like twice my age, so that's where I'm like, all right, yeah, this dude barely has a dark hair on his head. It's all, like he has to be 50 and I'm 36. I'm about to turn 36 in a month. So it's like, I'm like kind of like see myself competing with people who are at least 50 years old, like going into their 60s, who are kind of like celebrities. So it's allowed me that kind of person, that kind of mindset has allowed me to now see myself competing with that realm, which may not even be fair. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it is with other people. Maybe they're comparing themselves with others that are lower than them,
Yeah. I also feel like when you start a business, there's a lot of moving parts with setting up a business, right? You got to learn the sales, the accounts, the taxing, all that stuff. And because there's that imposter syndrome of going out on your own for the first time, where you are the brand, you're no longer behind the company you work for. All of a sudden, you can't fall behind someone else's success, like your company's success and all of that. Maybe because of that, people are like, I'm just starting out and I want to get my name out there. Now, one point you brought up is just the incompatibility, right? Like you are someone who works for yourself. You're really self-driven. I feel like a lot of career coaches now, especially because of COVID, they're considering this because they're like, you know what? I don't really like my job a whole lot, or I didn't really like the team I was on. I don't like my manager. I want to go out on my own. So I'm wondering if you can share with me, when you did switch from a corporate job to your own business, what are some things, both good and bad, that you experienced during your change?
I'm going to look for, there's so many good things. So I'm going to first think about the bad things.
Let's start with the good.
Well, the good is like, I actually found my comfort zone again, because in a team environment, like I told you, I wasn't comfortable because I felt like I was like, you want to move, you want to sprint, but there's like someone's pulling you back.
You're in a cage.
Like I couldn't, and like I couldn't grow as fast as I wanted to. And obviously, like it's not like that in every corporation, different organizations, different structures. One's a flat structure and one's hierarchical. And there's just like, if you get lucky, whatever, if you have the opportunity to work in the right business, and you'll have the opportunity to grow. But that wasn't my experience. So when I left and I became like kind of, I thrive as a lone wolf, so I'm on my own. I don't need to listen to someone else. I always had that confidence of, okay, I don't know something, I'm going to get out a book, I'm going to read it, I'm going to hire a coach, I'm going to go crazy. I've had a coach and instructors from when I was like 5 and 6. So being coached was natural to me. That was maybe like one of the advantages I had. And a lot of people, if anything, a lot of coaches, too many coaches don't have coaches, which is like, how? Like, I have 2 coaches right now. Like, how do you not have a coach? So that was something that I felt like, okay, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to get people to help me. I'm going to read a book a week. I'm going to figure it out on my own. And I'm not going to have this like friction caused by other people, other people tapping my brake. I don't want to tap the brake. I want to just give it gas. I want to keep going, So I was working like 25 hours a day and just doing whatever it takes. So that was the good thing, I just I cut those ropes, I cut the chains that were dragging, I cut the anchor,
Yeah.
That was a good thing. That might not resonate with everybody, but that was a good thing for me. The bad thing is, I don't know, the lack of community is definitely, you can't ignore having that support community and that friends. So for me, the first 3 years was challenging because, again, I was single, I was on my own, but then I got married and moved to the US. So then I was in a relationship. So that was just a new environment. So I started making friends outside of work, and that was better, but otherwise those first 3 years, just living a solitary life, working like literally like 18-hour days, that's what sucks. You have to go through a period that, is just, you have to go into your cave, go into your bat cave, just like close the door, shut the windows, and do whatever it takes to reinvent.
I feel like you're describing me right now.
Yeah, man. Like, we all go through that. That's like the recipe for success, So I'm going through like a literal phase like right now again, because we have these like cycles, we go in and out of them. So that's what sucks about it. So you're going to be lonely. You're going to come out a different version of yourself. You're still going to be Batman, but your costume's going to be different. You're going to have a different costume on.
I never thought I'd talk about Batman and career coaching in the same time. Here we go.
Man, I relate to Batman. He's like one of my alter egos.
Yeah. Especially with, me being in my cave all the time, I can relate. And I think you bring up such a good point there, Nader, because entrepreneurship, especially solopreneurship, it's such a lonely journey. Like, people don't understand the kind of work that goes into it, and also the kind of sacrifices you make, right? Like, when I was launching my business, I didn't go out at all. Like, people would say, hey, we're hitting the pub on Friday night. I'm like, I'm good. I got work to do for the weekend. And of course, over time, at the time, people are like, well, you're not fun. You don't do any of these things. But now I'm at that point where I've been able to quit my job and do what I'm doing because of what I built. At the same time, I don't think everyone's like that. I don't think everyone has that kind of drive and ambition, and that's okay. Not everyone needs to, right? So I'm wondering, suppose that right now career coaches are watching this stream and they're like, well, I get it. You poured your heart and soul into your business. I still really like my HR job, but I want to do my career coaching business on the side and hopefully grow it to a point where I can do it full time. What do you think is holding them back from even getting started with their own coaching practice?
But you gotta trust your own abilities. You haven't accepted that you're capable of doing it, because for you to find real success in whatever it is, whatever endeavor it is you embark, you take on, you gotta go all in. So like, yeah, the first 3 years, when I was doing recruiting and coaching, I wasn't able to make this whole transition. But when I just cut one stream of income, I stopped recruiting and I just reinvested all that time into coaching. Yeah, it was scary. I was scared shitless. But until you go all in, you're not going to be able to even see where your gaps are. Yeah. See where you need to re-educate yourself. Where do you need to be coached? Because then you're going to keep one leg on this side, one leg on that side. Both legs are in your comfort zone. So the days that you're doing well, you got your paycheck coming in on this side, and those months that you hate your job, you're gonna do more coaching on this side, and then you know what I mean. Then you get tired of a couple of clients, you write too many resumes, And then you're like, okay, and let me go and see if I can get a promotion on the corporate job. It's
Yeah.
always come back and forth. So the sooner you take one leg out and put both legs in one side of the line, you're going to be able to identify, where the scary zones are, where your zones of fear are. And you need to just overcome those fears. You need to eliminate your weaknesses. And, we always grow when we always grow more when we eliminate our weaknesses rather than amplify our strengths. If you're strong at one thing, it's your strength. Fantastic. Just keep it. But invest time, get coached on areas that you need to be coached on so you can overcome that obscurity,
And I can speak from my own experience as well. I feel like my biggest fear in starting my career coaching business, other than COVID, was not having that stable income, right? Like that paycheck coming in, you feel safe. But looking back at it now, those golden handcuffs, if you will, the moment they come off, that's where the real ceiling just blows off, And I'm glad that I've moved on from a mindset where I need a safety net all the time. I need an income coming in all the time. And because there isn't that safety net, my back is against the wall all the time, meaning I'm working harder every single day and I'm making significantly more in terms of income than I was in my salary. And I feel like most people, they get just enough in their salary and they're like, I'm happy with this. I don't want the risk associated with business. And I understand that, some people are making $80,000, $100,000 with their job, but it's also a matter of how autonomous do you want to be with your business? How many decision makers fall right in your hands as opposed to other people? Is that fair to assume, you think?
Yeah, 100%. You gotta first understand that your lifestyle is going to change. So starting a business, becoming a career coach or whatever type of coach or whatever kind of entrepreneur you are, you cannot live life with the same rules, with the same daily routine that you did your 9-to-5 corporate job, So it's just a matter of, I think sometimes you might have to just first re-educate yourself, speak with other career coaches who are successful, who are full-time coaches, who I was about to say who work whenever they want to work, but just learn from them, just like understand, just like I still work, like I don't do 9-to-5. I work from like 9 to 3. And there's a good hour in between, like from 12 to 1, I just eat and relax,
Or just do a live stream in the middle of the day,
Or, something like that. But like pretty much like I work 5 hours a day. So it used to be a lot more, but now I'm 5 hours a day. Doesn't mean that you should be working 5 hours a day. I used to work 18 hours a day. There's been months, and this can go back to just like 2 years ago. There's been months that I would wake up at like 5. I would work at 6 all the way till to 6. My wife would come home, so we would eat from like 6 to 7. I would work from 7 to 10. That's 15 hours. That's like a regular 15-hour day, So 12 hours, 1 hour break. And like, that's when you eat at your desk, So like days after days after days. Like a couple of things that I still tell to people and like they don't understand is like, it's been so many years for me that I've made these transitions, but like, I don't put labels on days like weekends or Fridays or Saturdays. That was 5 years, like 5 years ago, forget 3 years ago, there was no such thing as looking forward to the weekend. What weekend? Because it's just a label you put on. It's just another moon rising and moon going down. You know what I mean? It's another, it's another like Earth fourth circle around the central axis of the Earth. Like it's just another day. So I could be working I do work 7 days a week, but it's 4 or 5 hours a day.
I love working as well. Like,
I don't love it, I don't mind it.
Yeah, I'll do 7 days a week, and people are like, "Well, you're gonna work on a Sunday?" I'm like, "Listen, my Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they're all the same. Like, it doesn't matter.
It's the same thing, So it's like you lose the title on it. The only thing for me that changes since my wife, she's in the medical field, so she has the whole 9-to-5 working at a hospital. So I know it's the weekend when my wife doesn't go to work. I was like, oh, it must be the weekend. She's not working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that's it. And like certain things, like this weekend we went to Costco. So that's what throws me out. So we went to Costco after 2. I worked from like 9 to 1:30 or something like that. Then we hit up Costco, and then I did my coaching hours with my coach, like group coaching in the afternoon. And then like I fit everything in. So it's just that so going back to your question, if you're a 9 to 5 corporate Canada, corporate America kind of person, like your programming is to do that as a coach. It's just, that doesn't work. That does not work, So you have to understand how to reprogram your day, how to change your lifestyle and what it takes. You may still work 40 hours a day. You may have to start working 45 or 50 hours a day, but it's not going to be the 9 to 5, and don't resist it. If you feel comfortable working in the evenings, however your schedule is, the ultimate goal is for you to develop that comfort, if for lack of a better term, however your scenario, your life is, whether you have kids or children or, you got to do what you got to do to build your business and thrive, not just survive. So one of the main challenges I've seen all kinds of coaches is like they try to fit it into the same schedule, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So it's like, well, that's a different lifestyle. You cannot take the exact same corporate lifestyle and implement it here. You may go back to a regular schedule like that after you fully you have full autonomous processes and you can manage things differently, but don't try to fit it into a 9 to 5.
Yeah, and I think you have to unlearn a lot of things from your full-time job and then relearn new things. Now that I really want your perspective on, because we want to focus on the full-time income piece as well. Like, how do you go full-time and make enough money? So when you were at a point where you were charging like a couple of $100 for your services to where you are now, what did you learn about the industry, or perhaps what are some things that career coaches can start doing now in terms of pricing to really put themselves in the right position for their business?
Just try doubling your prices for a month. So I went from like 200 to 500. So that's more than double, but like 500 to 1,000, and just do it for a month. If it doesn't work, revert back to $500 a resume.
So on that note, people are going to say, well, no one's going to pay me that much money.
Oh, well, you don't know. You're not a mind reader. So try it for a month. That's why I said try it for a month. Unless if you're a mind reader, then you're in the wrong business. Then you should be a psychic. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be a
good way to handle that objection.
You should be a psychic. I mean, you can make more money as a psychic. If you have those abilities, you should really be a broker. You should work at Wall Street or something like that. You should work on stocks. Just like buy and sell stocks, man, and just you wouldn't even be here. You'd be a billionaire by now. So
it's the same thing you provide, but double the price. For example, if we're talking about resume writing, so you're going to charge $1,000 to write a resume. Now, most people will be like, "Who's going to pay $1,000 for a resume?"
You don't know until you try. You know what I mean? You don't know until you try. Now, with that said, the things that I had to do to make sure whatever I sell that, you have to have a niche. So way too many people, out of every 10, I don't want to put a number on it, but like more than 80%, they don't have a niche. They're like a career coach for all people, human beings. It's like, what kind of human being? Well, who are they? What do they do? What kind of problems do they have? At which stages of their career? How old are they? What demographic? So like for me, it's like engineering and science, 80% engineering, 20% science. In terms of demographic, like literally where would that person from? Like I have a very specific demographic, like where they're from, what's their background. It's like 90% of my business, they're from that part of the world. So I've clearly defined that. Yeah. I've noticed the patterns and I don't fight it, It's not a matter of trying to have a fully diversity and inclusion. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Certain people resonate with me. Certain people hate my ass, just look at me and they don't like me. I'm like, okay, that's your perspective. I'm going to respect your perspective. I don't want to change your mind, So the demographic, extremely important. The location, too many people call themselves worldwide coaches. I am not a worldwide coach.
Mr. Worldwide.
I am not Mr. Worldwide, I live in Los Angeles. 100% of my business comes from the San Francisco Bay Area. That's just how it's been. That's how it is. I don't try to change it. Maybe not 100%, but 95% of my business comes from the San Francisco Bay Area. So I know all the companies there. I know what's going on there. I read the reports there. I know the area. I know the environment. I know the people. So I become very knowledgeable about that geographical area. And, I've shared this with a lot of people, but they say, oh, wouldn't that be, but I'm in Phoenix. I'm like, Phoenix, Toronto, only Vancouver. Like, don't go outside of your city. They're like, oh no, but I can make so much more money. I'm like, dude, you're not even making enough money out of people in your own city. Just expanding your horizons doesn't mean that you're going to hit more targets, So the location is huge. Having a very specific industry is huge. If anything, I'm looking forward to niching down more, further and further. Yeah. And like your services have to be clearly defined. If you I help you with everything. What do you mean? I help you with everything. It's like going to one of those, it's like going to I don't know, like it's like going to, you can't be Walmart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't be Amazon. You can't be Walmart or like Costco's of the world. And not even Costco. Costco is pretty specific, but you can't be like Amazon, Yeah. You have to be a very specific boutique. So you have to be a boutique firm, boutique style services, boutique style location, boutique style specialty, and then you can jack up your prices.
Now, one thing we talked about last time is you have sales experience. I have sales experience. I was terrible at sales, but both of us have had to learn it. And if you're going to be a coach, if you're going to be a business person, if you're going to be someone who has clients, you need to learn sales. Am I incorrect about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a business, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to learn service.
Now, here's the question. A lot of sales or a lot of career coaches, they're not great salespeople. They've never had to do it. They've never had to sell a thing in their life. And because of that, because of their inability to communicate the value of their service, they charge very low for their service because they feel like if the price is so low that people don't even have to think about it, they'll sign on. And that's how they make $50 here, $100 there. There isn't really a business there. Now, when it comes to pricing and sales conversations, what are some things you think career coaches ought to know about the sales process?
Well, how to identify problems and be able to justify the value of the solution. So problems and solutions come together. If you cannot talk about the problem first and clearly define that problem and the consequences of not solving that problem, then you can't really move on to even offering a solution.
Can you give me an example of that? Consequences of not solving the problem?
So if you're currently job searching and you're not getting enough interviews, you're not getting enough callbacks, so my daily consultations, the common patterns are I'm applying to a lot of jobs. I haven't even landed a job. I haven't even landed an interview yet. It's been 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Now, someone recommended I reach out to a career coach. You were referred to me, blah, blah, blah. So how much is it to fix my resume? I was like, hold on a second. Yeah. Before we talk about how much it is to fill, it might not even be your resume, so because someone would have a problem, they feel like they all of a sudden they're a career coach now. All of a sudden they've solved the problem. They have analyzed everything. They've decided that the problem is the resume, and they believe that rewriting your resume would solve the problem. So as a career coach, you need to just rewind the tape, go all the way back to figuring out, first of all, what seems to be the problem from your understanding. What do you believe is the problem? Because they might believe the problem is their resume is not working. That may not necessarily be the problem. So you might have to just reframe the scenario, reframe the story in their head. So as a coach, you may have to, I do this every day. You would have to help them understand what the problem really is, what the real problem is.
Yeah.
They may have multiple problems, but different problems have different levels of impact. So I always say my line is that your resume could be made out of gold, written on a sheet of gold, like directly from Pharaoh's tomb, if no one sees it, no one sees that glowing piece of gold. It could be on a gold tablet, with the 10 commandments. If no one sees it, if you're applying online, no one's ever going to see it. So it doesn't matter what's on it. So let's understand strategy first. Let's understand communication first. Let's understand processes, procedures, best practices. Then we'll get, so for them to understand, that's where they go through this awakening. It was like, oh my God, I didn't even know this is how hiring is done.
Yes.
So like what I do first is like, I actually teach them, this is how companies hire people. And everyone's like, what? Don't they just advertise? I'm like, no, why would they just advertise? Why? Like, if you're hungry right now, are you going to go immediately put together a Facebook ad campaign? I'm hungry. I want a sandwich. No, you just go, first of all, to your kitchen. Second of all, to the Subway sandwich store. Third of all, you go to the shopping mall, or you call in delivery or something. You're not going to advertise. You're not going to pay for advertising and tell people what your needs are. So companies, when they have a need, first thing is, I'm going to look for internal opportunities. I don't want to pay anything to hire.
What's in the fridge?
What's in the fridge? Who's? I'm going to go to the lunchroom. Hey, guys, Yasser just quit. He's our senior data scientist. Do you guys know any other data scientists? Yes or no? Yes, great. Can I have their phone number? So that works really well. Internal referrals, internal hiring, and then internal ads, like so many organizations, associations, word of mouth, do a direct LinkedIn search. There's so many things they can do without spending $1. And that stuff works. And experience proves that the quality of the candidate, the quality of hire is so much higher when they go through a referral. They're coming through a referral source. So why would they want to pay something, So if people understand what companies do, what is the standard hiring process, because that's what I share with everyone, kind of like, maybe not everyone, but the people that really don't understand what the real problem is. They're just like, kind of like, everything's they're dealing with this delusion in their mind of, all the 100% of jobs are advertised. Whenever a job is available, companies start advertising, because that's what they do and that's what they need to do and that's how it's done. If someone believes that, then you gotta change their beliefs, and that's a very tough conversation to have. But you need to help them change their beliefs, understand, that's not how hiring is done. This is the standard operating procedure. These are the best practices, and then they're implemented in this order. And then you're guiding, your coaching starts right there and then. I mean, I coach them, I help them on consultations to see themselves on that conveyor belt, and understand at which stage is that red light coming on. If this was a manufacturing line, at what stage do you get an error? If they're a coder, I kind of try to use their own analogy. If you're a software developer, at which line, where does the bug come up, And then that's what you need to fix. You need to fix that line before you come down here and get to your resume. But if you got an error message up here and you're trying to fix something down here, you can run the code 1,000 more times. It's still going to give you an error up there, So that's something that's very important, and that's part of the selling process, So selling is like it's like a conveyor belt. It's a process. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, 10. So when you can walk that person throughout that process, you're developing rapport as you're guiding them, a guideline, if you will. And regardless of whose system you follow, I've completed like Cardone University, like you and I were talking about. I've completed Jordan Belfort's straight line selling. Doesn't matter whose program you follow, there is some sort of a straight line you got to follow. There will be objections. You would have to loop back. You have to re-educate them. You have to go back to that spot. You have to just really ask for their understanding. Make sure they understand this stage before you go to the next stage. And then step by step, you'll convince them to understand what the true problem is. Then you don't really have to do too much to sell the solution, because you've been doing the selling. You've been doing the selling about educating them on what the real root cause of a problem is. And then here's the solution. At this point, I mean, you don't really need to do much to sell all you have to do is just like really close the deal, ask for the order, guide them towards signing up for your course, or schedule out your consulting sessions.
Yeah, I feel like what you described, I've got a book here. It's called Socratic Selling, which is essentially how to ask questions and get the sale, right? So what you're describing is exactly that. You ask them enough questions where they start figuring out how they can solve their problem. And because you're asking these smart questions, you come across as the expert. Whereas most people, I feel like the approach they take is they spend 90% of time hammering down their service and how great it is, how amazing it is, trying to convince the other person to sign on. And I don't think that's a very good approach, because you don't care about their needs. You only care about your own needs and your own service and whatnot. Now, I think a lot of career coaches, because they haven't done the kind of training you and I have, the Jordan Belfort, the Chris Voss, all that stuff, they give up very early in the sales process. So because they don't know how to pitch their service, and pitching is essentially communicating the value of what you offer, right? If you can't communicate the value properly to your client, not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing them a disservice. You could have been helping them out, but because you didn't communicate it properly, now they can't get the help they need. So I'm wondering, when people get these objections, right? So for example, I want to think about it as a really big one, or the price one as a big one. Career coaches will take that face value. Like, oh, this person doesn't have the money, or they need to think about it. Let me give them 4.5 weeks to think about it and they'll come back to me. What do you think career coaches can learn about the actual sales conversation, especially when it comes to the objection handling bit?
One thing that every salesperson should be trained on, or, you don't have to be certified, but you need to understand, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. So it just helps you, because a lot of times it's just their belief. They believe the price is high, is too expensive for them, however they phrase it. That's just their belief. It's not that they don't have the money. It's just what they're telling you is like, I don't believe the value offer is worth that much money. So it's not that I don't have this much money. It's just that you're not offering me enough value for it to be worth this much of my money. You know what I mean? So you need to really understand what are they really not saying by, they would say those words, but they're saying something else. So if you understand NLP, first of all, you're going to understand what they really need. When they say they need more time, okay, like they don't need more time. They can make a decision right now. It's not that they need more time. We're not giving them a puzzle to solve. It's like they're not sure right now. They don't need more time, but they know right now that the value offering does not exceed the amount of money, the amount of monetary value they're going to give you. So it starts right there. And secondly, you need to understand how to approach that conversation. So whether that is, you talk about the consequences, what are the consequences of you not addressing this problem? And, if you need another week, what will change in a week? What are you actually looking to identify within that week that we haven't already talked about? Does it always take you a week to make a decision similar to this? Or sometimes they say, oh, I need to talk to someone else. All that is an excuse. You know what I mean? So sometimes you might have to just, talk to their ego, a little bit. Like, how often do you make decisions on your own? You know what I mean? So some people, sometimes it's challenging, because you might have to speak to their ego a little bit. You might have to get them to just visualize what it's going to be like a week from today. You might have to help them visualize what it's like not to continue and not having the results they want. Right. So a lot of different ways, to kind of like chunk up or chunk down their situation, compare their situation with someone else's situation, share with them success stories of others that were in the exact same scenario as they were. Now they've done the same thing, they've got different results. So, and one thing that I wanted to mention earlier that I just remembered, don't approach that conversation trying to close everybody. Like 90% of people, at least, that will not buy from you. So if you hear that objection, like one person today, she wanted to sign up for interview practice, and we've already had a consultation. She messaged me again. She's like, "Oh, I want to have another consultation." So I'm like, "No, there's not going to be another consultation. We just talked like 3 days ago. If you're ready to sign up, I'd love to call." And literally, I've been on back-to-back calls. I don't have time, so I can call you on lunch. We can take 10 minutes, schedule out your interview practice sessions, and radio silence but so I'm going to follow up but the audio message that I left for her is like, you cannot start begging people, you got to be very honest and upfront, and hey, it's okay if it's not going to work out for you, and this person, got an offer, lost the offer, and she was devastated. And I knew she's super strong candidate, It's like a week later, she has 2 other interviews. So I'm like, okay, like I had no doubt that you're going to get more interviews, but I don't understand why we need to take more time to consult again. I believe you're ready to start the coaching process. I didn't say I'm ready to start coaching you. Of course I'm ready. I believe you are ready, because I didn't take it personally. The reason she wants to consult again, I didn't take it personally. I just let her know, hey, I believe you're ready. I know we spoke. I know we chatted. I know I've shared with you the consult. I know the prices. Think about it. Text me is what I said. Here's my number. Text me if you want to. Text me over lunch if you want to schedule it. But I believe that you're ready to start being coached, to receive coaching. So don't take it personally. If you take it personally, people feel it, People feel like, oh, you're trying to push them. I'm not pushing you. It's just like, I think you're ready. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of money. It's not a matter of speaking with someone else. You're an adult. Do you always have to consult with your wife or with your husband to make decisions?
Right.
Everybody's going to say, no, I don't always consult with my wife. Okay, so is this among one of those reasons that your wife has to know about what kind of coaching packages you're going to sign up? No, it's not, So what can your wife tell you that would stop you from making this decision? Like really get people to think about it, Remember how you and I were talking, you were saying, I don't know what the example was. I said, I flipped that conversation back on them.
The guarantee. So can you guarantee me a result for this coaching?
Perfect objection. Oh, I don't know, but can you guarantee we're going to get results? Well, can you guarantee that you're going to follow the procedure every day? Can you guarantee you're going to be here doing exactly what I'm telling you to do every day? If you can guarantee, then yeah, I can guarantee, but like almost never, everyone hesitates. It's like, I don't know, because I haven't even gone through the program. I didn't even know. I'm like, exactly.
I read the book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yeah, love that book.
So he talks about this one question called, how am I supposed to do that? And that it just really resonated with me. So if someone says, can you give me a guarantee? Will this work? How am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to give you a guarantee? And there's just no answer to that. Like, I don't know. How are you supposed to give me a guarantee?
100%.
The problem solves itself.
Yeah, like that's hostage negotiation 101, Man, I use that. I mean, part of what we were talking about in that book, I'm like, how am I supposed to guarantee? Can you guarantee me this?
Yeah.
Like they can't. Like there's no way, for the same level, same degree, that they can't guarantee going through this, to the same level. I can't guarantee anything.
I feel like there's another side to that conversation as well. When career coaches feel like, especially when they're starting out, right? They feel like they're offering a service and they tell people, okay, I'm going to help you get to this job, that job. But they themselves don't know if they can help them out because there's no guarantee. They start to second think whether they should be charging the amount. You know what I mean?
Well, it's because you talk about a guarantee. As soon as that question comes up, I'm like, of course it's not guaranteed. Like I was telling you, I was like, dude, there's like 15 different variables.
Yeah.
That's where I turn on the gas. I'm like, dude, you're a software engineer. I'm pretty sure you're good with mathematics and logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the answer is like, yeah, right. I'm okay. So how can you compare a scenario where it's different? Because they're like, oh, what's your success rate? I think that's what you and I were talking about. I'm like, how can you compare your success with someone else where they're a different person, different personality, different background, they work in different companies, they do a different job, they're for a different part of the world. How can you? So I'm pretty good. I'm pretty sure you're good with logic. So how can you compare those two formulas together? Can you explain that to me? And like nobody can. Like you gotta push people a little bit, you know. So when someone asks you a question for guarantee, it's like, can you like what is guaranteed? Like from this entire process, which part of it, from your point of view, do you think can be
I like
guaranteed?
that.
You know, take me out of it. We haven't even talked. What do you think can be guaranteed from all this entire job search process? Give me one guarantee.
I love how you asked them that question back. And another rendition that I found is, if you were in my position right now and you were talking to yourself, would you feel comfortable providing a guarantee? And they would say no. I was like, well, would I want to lie to you and give you a guarantee just to make you happy? And the answer is usually no, right?
Yeah.
But then as a career coach, when you know you can't give someone a guarantee, you start doubting your ability to help someone out. And then because of that, you start charging lower. How do you overcome that mental barrier?
That's also, again, I'll go back to delusion, because if you have that feeling, you feel like you still, there's a level of belief that you feel like this should be guaranteed.
Right.
Absolutely no guarantee. It's like, there's absolutely no guarantee I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Absolutely no guarantee. So meditate on your mortality a little bit. You know,
I like that. I like that.
It could be another earthquake tonight. You know, we had an earthquake the other day. You know, it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, I could be hit by a car tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you just say it, you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. But how about a guarantee for a career coaching? I'm like, no, dude, you could die tomorrow. You know, so like meditation is huge for me. It's necessary. You know, it's like I can't imagine not doing it. You know, so you can see this, right?
Yeah, I don't know what that means though.
Memento mori. Remember, you will die. Remember, you will die. Memento mori. So these are my Stoic coins. Memento mori.
I like that.
I hope you can see it, but it says, remember, it says you could leave life right now. These are from Brian Holiday, Daily Stoic.
Oh yeah, I know Daily Stoic.
Yeah, so there's eight different coins. I got them all in front of me. You know, 8 coins. These are like nice actual coins.
Every time someone asks me for a guarantee from now on, I'm gonna show them all these.
Remember, you will die. Like this is I have this like this in front of my monitor, right? So I look at it every day. Memento mori, remember you will die, is an ancient tradition of reflecting on mortality. You know, so I look at it every day, man. I've had quite a few near-death experiences. The last one was January 1st, 2013. So like you don't necessarily have to have a near-death experience to like understand how fragile life is, but you gotta just like, man, you gotta meditate on this stuff. You gotta think about that stuff. You gotta just like take 5 minutes a day, just like with yourself alone in a room, just close your mind and close your ears and just understand how fragile life is and how there's no guarantee of anything. You know, so that's like, I get way too philosophical on people when this thing happens. Like,
I'm on that boat too, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah, but like that's it. If you don't understand that, I don't want to work with you. Like I told you the other day, if I say this once, someone wants a guarantee. Can you guarantee you're going to be alive tomorrow? If they say yes, that's probably, I'm like, all right, like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out with you, you know, because apparently you read the future and you're kind of scaring me right now. You know, I'm talking to psychics and I don't necessarily like them.
If there was a guarantee, career coaching will be the most bulletproof investment anyone could ever make, right?
There's no guarantee in anything, man. You know,
One
there's
of my
no
favorite.
guarantee the Biden's gonna be the president because, like, you know what I mean? He's
Who knows?
president-elect, you
Yeah.
know, not president. So it's like there's no guarantee in anything. All kinds of guarantees come up every day, and none of them are guarantees.
One of my favorite quotes is "See things as they are, not as you would like them to be," and
Yep.
that really changed my perspective because I was always like, once this happens, once that happens, then I'll do this, but they'll never go according to the way you want them to go. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can actually start working on your problems, right?
Yep. Yep.
So now, they're just to close. I know we're closing on that hour mark for career coaches watching now. What's something you can leave them with? What's something they can start doing right now to get started with a career coaching business?
You gotta have a coach, man. Chances are you're watching this, you don't have a coach. Man, I don't want to tell you how much money I spend on coaching.
I've spent
if
way
you're
more
not
than
being
$10,000
coached,
than that stuff.
yeah, if you're not being coached, you're a hypocrite. You know, you're just you're a liar, you're a cheat, and yeah, I mean.
Well, speaking of that, I will be hosting a webinar this Saturday as well on exactly this topic. So Saturday, 12 p.m. PST, 3 p.m. EST. I'm hoping to dive into more of these things we talked about, of why people are really struggling with that mindset of starting their career coaching business, how to actually price your offer and how to charge more and have these sales conversations. So if you're interested in that, you can find that in the description and on my LinkedIn as well. Now, if someone's interested in your services, where can they find you and what kind of services do you provide?
Well, right now, the best place would be on LinkedIn. So connect with me on LinkedIn. Our website's under development right now, so we'll be relaunching on December 2nd. Website's called engineeryourmission.com. There's nothing there right now, but so find me on find me on LinkedIn. I help engineers and scientists make successful career transitions through personal branding, effective networking, and interviewing. On top of that, with this new launch, we're going to be building an occupational wellness sort of digital center. So that'll be focused on social, spiritual, and mental toughness coaching. So that's the different aspect of overall wellness. Especially that's something that really got triggered for me this year. That's what led to me to kind of like rebrand and start this Engineer Your Mission kind of like brand back in January, and develop these online courses. I shared a video. I don't know if you saw it on LinkedIn today. I recorded it last week and sent it out to our email list. But I shared the story of how I built this business. I launched it on June 15th. And then we had this big launch and ultimately zero sales. So it got me to understand some of the things that I did incorrectly, some of the wrong expectations I had, and all excuses aside, I took full responsibility to just reinvent myself, reinvent the business, and develop this protective shield around me and my clients as well. So this monthly membership program, which is going to be focusing on social, mental, and spiritual health, is that protective shield that allows you to survive, but also thrive well beyond just getting a job. Because getting a job, you go through these different phases of developing your personal brand, conduct effective networking exercises, and then do really well in job interviews, get your job, but you still have to live. You still have to grow your career. You still have to, stay mentally strong and, spiritually centered, like we talked about, memento mori, and, how there's no guarantee in life. And we live in a new world of, anti-socialism. So you need to find your social circle within these virtual environments, because this whole virus thing, whether there is a virus or not, we're going to leave that for another LinkedIn Live. But, you gotta abide by the rules and not be suppressed by the society's rules that are being imposed on you. So I always tell people, which is the reality, I've been in quarantine for 5 years Because 5 years ago, when I moved to the US, I just decided not to kind of like get into this society because, you know, as a Canadian boy coming in, you know, like LA, and this is not a pretty safe place here. And I could easily get into, you know, the wrong crowd. So I kind of decided to isolate myself in a house, in a room, and just build a business. And I'm glad I did, because I stayed out of trouble and ultimately I became successful. So being isolated and being in a quarantine and not seeing the sunshine for weeks at a time it's my strength, you know? So having now, having now coming into this whole no coronavirus situation, nothing for me ever changed. You know, I actually found myself having been prepared for that stuff for like four plus years. So now I'm developing this, I'm kind of like sharing what I've gained over the last 5 years, be able to develop like virtual and digital circles and digital friends, and just actually get results from it. So again, no guarantee, but there are best practices that if you follow, if you implement, you will get results from them, as long as you stay accountable to hitting your daily actions and daily goals. So long story short, I'm just about to kind of like come out again this December 2nd, which is actually my birthday. I always try to kind of like reinvent and transform myself. So this year, this birthday, my goal is to help transform everybody who's in my circle or who likes to join this circle and join this community. So I'm super excited. Go to engineeringyourmission.com on December 2nd. Join our community. You know, and you know, we'll be having a lot of fun, you know, because I'm ultimately taking all the best practices that I'm learning. I've been learning from my coach right now, Wes Watson, and we're implementing it into our community. I'm working with a software company. We're building a community app, and it's a lot of fun, man. I can't wait till you know, I get this out there and develop a new tribe.
Perfect. Nader, thank you so much for telling us about it. If you are interested, please reach out to Nader. If you're interested in growing your own career coaching business, and check out the webinar on Saturday. Nader, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, yes, sir. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right.